let's get this thing recording. It is a new day. All right. All right, folks, welcome back. It is Wholesaler Wednesday, and what does that mean? This is my channel. You're here talking to Eric Botheka, listening to me run my trap about some of the things that I've been up to this week. Monday, we talked about Section 8, so if you have any questions about Section 8, go check out that video. Today, for Wholesaler Wednesdays, we're going to talk about ethics. We're going to go through the gambit of what I feel is ethical, kind of identify the conversation between agents, real estate, wholesalers, things like that. And then again, Friday is going to be Friday, where I'm going to just talk about whatever I want, whatever is going on, or whatever's I'm struggling with this during this week. So for Wholesaler Wednesdays, I want to talk about tactics, folks. I want to lean into you guys a little bit and tell you this conflict that exists between wholesalers, sellers, and all the different parties that exist in a real estate transaction. Ethics is one of those things that you can sit around a campfire and spend days and days and days and circle the drain, and you're never really going to get anywhere, right? So it always comes down to some level of subjectivity on where the line lies. Where I choose to stay is I choose to stay with the letter of the law. So if you are within the letter of the law, then I am assuming that the people that established those laws did it so because justice is blind and how I understand government to work, that it was done ethically. Right? So as long as it's within the letter of the law, I consider it to be ethical. Now, does that mean that you can't use what I just said and go do some dubious shit? No, right? So the number one rule I would say is, if I could put that in big letters here, is don't be a shitbag, right? That's all I'm asking you to do, is be a decent person. Now, the conversation between real estate agents and sellers and wholesalers and sellers is all of this, mudslinging back and forth about wholesalers do dubious things. I've seen real estate agents, brokers, they're all just people, folks. And so what it comes down to is, what are you willing to do to feed your family? Myself, I'm not willing to lose sleep over a transaction, especially when there's plenty of work out there, folks. So, but then you get into the conversation over ethics, as in, like, let's give some examples here. Let's talk about EMD in the form of ethics. Let's talk about down payment in the form of ethics. And let's talk about the style in which the transaction is conducted in form of ethics, right? So number one is EMD. I have seen the gambit, folks. I have seen real estate agents, wholesalers, sellers, buyers have all different views about what EMD should be. And then there are different state laws that dictate what it can and cannot be, what should be included and what shouldn't be. My experience is it needs to be something, you want to have some skin in the game, right? And that's typically what people are looking for in this situation, depending on your conversation. Our conversation is if we're the buyer, then we're going to put a decent amount of EMD down relative to what we're trying to accomplish. Now, understand that we are wholesalers. I have a wholesale company. Anybody that does business with my company knows that, and knows that I do multiple contracts at the same time. And unfortunately, for one reason or 7,000 reasons, the contract falls through from time to time. So from time to time, I am not going to lose $10,000 for every single deal, because once again, buyers are liars, sellers are worse. So if I can't trust them, the idea is they likely can't trust me, so that's where the contract comes in. So I leave ethics to play. The EMD can be whatever it is you and I as professionals agree to. And so I've had $0 EMD. I typically always put something down because it adds validity to the contract, especially working nationally the way that I do. So I used to put $1,000 EMD on everything that I did. And that soon went away when I started actually scaling up and realizing that I had 10, 12, 15 contracts at the same time. And so then it got down to, I had a rough number and I worked that back and worked that back. 100 was working really well for a long time. And then at one point we had 15 or 20 contracts. And I was like, that's a whole nother contract, right? And then the conversation goes down. So the ethics piece is, are you having the right conversation with the seller? Right? So when you lock this up as a wholesaler, are you explaining that you are a wholesaler? Right? So we'll get to that in a second. But as far as EMD is said, are you discussing EMD and what it means to you and what it means to the seller? As long as you're having the conversation, then I would say that you're being ethical. Now, if they agree to let you have a $10 EMD like they let me, then I would say that you're fully cleared hot to go forward with that and solve that problem for that seller. Now, talking about ethics between the down payment, right? So we're talking about differences here, right? So it's kind of a mixed basket when it comes to this, because you have different types of real estate transactions, right? So our down payment on a seller finance is whatever two people agree to. Anybody outside of that transaction, I don't give a shit what they say. Right? If you agree and I agree that this is a down payment that suits your needs because I'm solving your problem in one way or another, then that is a legal transaction, folks. And I believe that there's nothing unethical about that. There is no law that states that you have to put a specific amount down. There's no law that says that I have to accept that. So it is all between the players and at the table, right? And sometimes the larger down payment makes sense because it solves the problem for the seller. but other times it doesn't. In reality, they're looking for a higher price. So depending on the negotiation and how that works for me trying to purchase that property could dictate what is ethical and what's not. What is unethical is not disclosing that there's a difference or that it is a negotiating term, right? So I always let people know that on seller finance deals. But as far as other things go, it's situation dependent, right, as far as ethics go. And then the last piece I'll talk about, and let you guys have your day back here, is this feud between real estate agents and wholesalers. The reality is we are all on the same side of the table here. We're trying to solve problems for sellers and buyers, right? We are the middlemen, whether we like to admit it or not. We have more in common than we have anything different. What I would say is unethical is throwing shade towards an entire group of people that you have no idea about. And that's why I don't do it. I play nice with my partners. My partners are real estate agents. I do not have a real estate agent's license. I do not have a realtor's license. I don't have any of that. I know a ton of good people that do. So why would I need that? Right? Now, I may end up getting one eventually, but the point is I don't have one. So I let people know that I'm not a real estate agent. Right? I don't pretend that I am. Right? But I also don't throw mud on real estate agents unless it is a very specific thing about a very specific person, right? So that's my ethics piece amongst wholesalers and real estate agents. As I said, play nice with others. There's no reason to talk shit about other people. And if that's the only way you can get a deal done, you're never going to be as good as I am. So on that note, that's wholesale. Do things ethically. And the number one thing is don't be a shitbag. I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good one.